Happy Pat's Tuesday, everybody. We are back. It is March 2026, and on that note, we will just cue the music. And more excitement around being back is Henry is back on the podcast this month, which I always love to have him. He's a good time. He's a fun guy, So yeah, he's back, and we're just gonna jump into March with some of the cooler ones we found. There are no active exploitations. I think that's important to call out, but there is no reason to not patch your stuff this month, and don't ignore the mediums because this. We've got some interesting mediums that can be chained together to make a pretty nasty one. But to start us off, we've got CVE 2026-24282. It's a push message routing service elevation of privilege vulnerability. As much as it is a tongue twister, it's actually pretty simple in itself. Basically, this kind of goes out to like not even just like desktops, but like also like Windows tablets and stuff like that. It's essentially like an attacker like will get like a low privilege shell on like a Windows 11 machine or like a compromised web browser or something like that, and then it'll send a malformed request to the push messaging routing service. And because that service doesn't properly validate the length of the data it's supposed to process, it continues reading past the end of the push message buffer. Yeah.
Input
yeah.
Sorry.
Validation?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Every time I come on here, I swear. Sorry.
Is it a validation?
Continue. Yep. Continue.
Yeah. Henry is sick of people not validating requests.
The user input. Why would you trust users? That is insane.
No. I don't even trust myself. Like, look,
exactly.
I'm going to make a mistake. Like, it's easy to make a mistake, But, so because of that, the attacker kind of captures the overread data, and they repeat this process multiple times and scrape the memory. And, within that leaked heap of data, the attacker typically will find like a clear text session token from a web browser or a private key used by some type of security service. And then with that, they can just now impersonate the user or bypass encryption and move a medium risk bug to a full scale compromise. It's nasty. It sucks. And again, like I say, don't ignore the mediums. The only way to really defend against this, I don't know. Like, can you speculate, Henry? Like, there's really not a lot of workarounds beyond patching.
I don't have a lot of context into the vulnerability that you're talking about specifically, but based on what you said, it sounds like, endpoint security software. I don't really know like what else you'd have visibility, to see that service being abused. I don't know, honestly. I'd have to do more research on what exactly that service is and what it does before I could speculate.
Yeah, that's fair. I would say absolutely patch. And the next one's
considering it's like, I was gonna say, considering it's like you said, push notification service. That's something that everyone's likely going to have enabled.
Yeah,
just like Xbox.
Oh my God, I know. We've gotten a couple of Xbox vulnerability. The Xbox service that runs behind Windows 11. Yeah. And I don't know if it ever I know it could be run as like a separate app on Windows 10, but like Windows 11 is like directly integrated into the system, and it has caused some issues. But yeah, so that one's that's a patcher. That's a patcher right there. But the other one's like another couple of mediums. It's a 2 chains vulnerability. You know what I'm saying? Huh. I don't know if there's a trademark or a patent, on 2 chains name, but it is a 2 chainer, if you will. Basically, it uses the GDI plus it's a GDI plus information disclosure vulnerability, and so it's using the security feature ASLR, the address space layout randomization. And so basically, this service like shuffles the deck of your computer memory every time it boots, and
Ooh,
and
I like
an
that
attacker.
analogy a lot. Sorry.
Yeah, look, every time I come on here, I try to do here's the technical, here's the I'm trying to get better at my analogies on this podcast because I feel like it helps people who may not be as like informed on the nuances of like the operating system and all the little parts that go into it, like understand like just why something is vulnerable. So,
No, I
but
really like that analogy. I was still
yeah.
stuck. Every time I hear ASLR, I think of ASMR, but that's a side tangent. Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
I almost used one for the notification memory peaker, like is like the translucent envelopes that a mailman is handing off, like because like it's like somebody working in the mailroom, and then the mailman's handing letters over, and like he's using envelopes that are just a little bit see-through, tiny see-through. And then like if someone's being sneaky, they just grab that envelope and they go, oh, I can see what's a little bit what's inside this thing, and then they use your
Nice.
social security number that's inside of it. So
Yeah. Nice.
yeah. That's so yeah. But with this one, basically, yeah, it's leveraging a vulnerability in the ASLR security feature. So if like an attacker has like a malicious DLL ready or something, and they don't know where in the memory to plug it in, like they use it to send a malicious meta file to like a victim's browser, and then like the overread memory leak gives the attacker kind of like an idea of the system's memory. So now they know kind of like how the deck is shuffled, like on the table. So now they know where the cards are, like in the deck.
We're counting cards now.
Well, I mean, I said shuffles the deck. I think I started this analogy in that manner, and so then now that the attacker has like a map or knows where the cards are in the deck, they can send a phishing email containing like a zip file, because they use like the first bug to bypass it, and their malicious DLL is now like perfectly tuned to the victim's specific memory layout. It's a
That
little
sounds really
spicy. Yes, and I was just getting ready to say it's got to be like so perfect that like this is something a nation state actor would absolutely use in your system. So yeah, like if the person opens the zip file or something like that, it like runs like it loads the attacker's DLL because the memory map was already solved, so it knows exactly where it needs to be inserted, and then it like runs with like 100% reliability, creating the attacker remote code execution. And like you said, like it's so nuanced and complex that like if it lands, it's solid. So
It sounds like, I mean, like what even has visibility into that? I mean, again, it feels like just endpoint detection software is.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're barely even like you're not really going to be able to do much around like the first part of it, 25181, that CVE. It's really like you're going to be alerting around 25190, the actual like remote code vulnerability. Like it's rough, like because I mean that initial recon, it would be really difficult to tune an EDR around that. I would actually be very curious if anybody has rules around it and wants to comment on the video or something like that, because I think that's it would be very interesting how you would like tune against that first part. But
Or do you mean detect? You mean?
Yeah, tune detections around like the initial like recon that they're doing on the overread. So
Right.
yeah, it just yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh,
Cool.
I'm interested. Yeah. Any other thoughts before we move on to yours?
I don't think so.
Cool. Word. All right.
My turn?
Hit us. Your turn.
All right. So, I know Ryan said there are no vulnerabilities that had exploitation detected. There were a few that were most likely, so I will cover a couple of those. One in particular is CVE 2026-24291, and I got a little opening hook for you on this one. Now, what if the very tool designed to help users became the attacker's way into your system? Windows accessibility. Huh? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So,
I haven't actually heard a vulnerability around this, and I mean, in my time doing the
it's
podcast.
been a while.
Yeah,
it's been targeted before, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
This one in particular, so it's Windows accessibility infrastructure elevation of privilege vulnerability, and in particular, it's looking at the AT broker executable. So again, the flaw, that's where the flaw lives inside of that executable, which is the Windows accessibility infrastructure broker. The root cause allegedly is incorrect permission assignment on a critical resource. Now, what exactly does that mean in this context? I'm not sure, but it feels like it's just a classic, maybe like a misconfiguration can then lead to some sort of dangerous outcome, right? And while this isn't a remote code execution, and I don't think any of the aforementioned ones were either, there's still, local privilege escalation is a hacker's best friend, right? Like after they get into your system. An initial compromise, could be as easy as, like you said, a phishing email lands, or a low privileged account gets compromised. The attacker pivots from there. Maybe utilizing this flaw in some way to jump straight to system. I don't know if I mentioned that, but a successful exploit of this does lead to system. So I know we talk about that a lot on the podcast. It's like the highest level of access on a Windows machine, like higher than administrator.
It's the holy grail.
It's basically the OS itself.
Yeah.
Like it game over. So again, an attacker does need a foothold first, but I mean that's exactly that phase where attackers do the most damage is when they get in.
Yeah.
So, and on top of that, I thought this one was pretty interesting in particular because, kind of to your point of like, oh, I haven't really heard that in the podcast before. Well, accessibility services, to my understanding, they run with an elevated trust kind of by design, just given how they work. So, because I mean, they have to interact deeply with the operating system. And if they're deeply interacting with the operating system, and it's only like accessibility services, that might be something that's not really looked at in like a hardening checklist, for example. Like when's the last time you gave your IT team, a checklist, or your IT team had a checklist for hardening the endpoints, and it was, oh, make sure you look at the accessibility broker. No one does that, to my knowledge.
No,
at least.
No.
It's a pattern definitely worth watching. So, I mean, I would patch this one, as soon as possible. Like we've been saying, privilege escalation plus any initial vector is powerful. And then, I think that's actually all I have on that one. So, that about covers that one. And then I'll jump kind of right over to the other one that I had, unless you had any comments.
No. Like that to me, like it was just. I was more of just like, oh man, I have not heard an exploit around this in a hot minute. So,
Yep.
So,
and all it takes is, exploit that, get system, now disable security tools, dump creds, move across the network, all that fun stuff.
Dunzo. Yeah.
And then I'll move on to the next one here, which is another elevation of privilege, CVE 2026-24294. And I've got a fun opening hook for this one as well. SMB, the protocol that's been haunting Windows security teams since the days of WannaCry, is back in the conversation this Patch Tuesday.
So you're saying WannaCry 2 Electric Boogaloo?
No.
No, I know. I know it's not WannaCry. Yeah, I shouldn't even joke about that on this one. No. Yeah,
you're gonna make people cry. You're gonna make me want to cry.
Oh yeah.
But back to the vulnerability here. So this is a flaw that allegedly lives in the Windows SMB server. So I probably don't have to say this, but I'll say it anyways. It is, SMB is like the backbone of file and I think printer sharing across Windows networks, if I'm not mistaken.
Depending on how you share the printer, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the root cause of this vulnerability again seems to be improper authentication. So the SMB server isn't validating or correctly verifying who is trying to take a certain action. So this is another one where if you're on the network already, there's your opening. And it's the same one as what I just discussed. And the same thing is like every month, system privileges. That's what this vulnerability can get you. But why this, in my opinion, really matters is because, SMB, like the nature of it is network facing, like by design, right? It is literally built to talk to other machines, which means the attack surface is likely going to be a lot wider than a purely local exploit. Right. And if SMB is reachable, attackers are interested. And I know that from all the hack the box and all the fun CTFs, like when you see SMB, you target that.
I'm in.
Yeah. And we joked about WannaCry, but like SMB kind of hits different, right? Like you have Eternal Blue, Not Petya, I think was another one. There's a bunch of weird names. Yeah. And I think those all rode on SMB. And yet, like patched environments still leave SMB wide open internally because, it's only internal. But that assumption is a very dangerous one, and that is exactly what attackers are counting on, by the way. Long diatribe.
I mean, they all use the Eternal Blue like exploit, like not Petya, WannaCry, and all that stuff. So technically, I was even more wrong by saying WannaCry to Electric Boogaloo. It's technically Eternal Blue to Electric Boogaloo, but this isn't hopefully that widespread. We're bringing it to the attention now, so it can be patched and dealt with. Like, keep an eye out, people.
And again, this is one of those where it's exploitation most likely. So I would definitely patch. Definitely put this high on the prioritization of patching. Because again, if we talk about real world attack scenarios, this is another one where an attacker just needs a low privilege account, and then they could start spraying credentials. Phishing, it doesn't really matter. Like as soon as they get in, they authenticate to SMB legitimately, and then that abuse. And I think from there, they can abuse the broken auth logic to likely escalate the system. And
you brought up printers, and I think it's so important because like so many printers use that that scan to file service on it, and every company I have worked at, they use a service account role for that. And sometimes it's properly scoped to just like have access to a specific like scan to folder on a device. Sometimes they let people scan directly to a file server and they still have the role scoped. More often than not, I have worked at a place and that service account has had an administrative role, and it always makes me cringe. And my heart hurts thinking about it. And so, like, people, like, God, that is such an easy thing to obtain from a printer. That is such an easy thing to obtain from how it communicates with the server. Like, I would just be very cautious of those roles. And even, like, after you patch this vulnerability, I would rotate those and please scope your scan to file service accounts properly.
Another thing too, kind of to piggyback off of that, is maybe after you patch this, some homework, ask yourself, is SMB version 1 fully disabled in my environment? That's something you can, every time a new SMB vulnerability, Samba vulnerability comes out, I always think about like Samba V1 and things like that. So, I mean, check if that's fully disabled in your environment. Another one too is, obviously your file server has to be reachable between network segments, but does it have to be reachable on all of them? Do you maybe have like a system that just doesn't need to talk to it, that can talk to it? Maybe audit those things and really limit what is able to talk to those file servers. So
Yeah, this is a spicy one because
yeah,
it really touches on a lot of things that have traumatized our industry as a whole. Um,
yeah. I'm
yeah,
guessing that's
just
why
see,
Microsoft said exploitation most likely.
yeah. I just see this and I immediately just get like bad flashbacks to some of like the worst incidents I've had to be on, and some of like the worst overnights I've had to work to like just be a part of just cleaning things up. Whew, I almost cleaning things up on the network and on a lot of these servers. So, whew, that's a fun one.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. I
as
think
usual,
that's
yeah. No, I was gonna say let's end on the grand finale with this one here. Like,
yeah. Patch
yeah,
and I guess well the theme is obviously patch, but
the,
also I would hope that, right? And then also auditing, kind of auditing your environments and how much lateral SMB traffic are you allowing that you don't need to, and how many services do you have running that don't need to be running, things like that.
yeah. And honestly, I'll even say I know some people have their own opinions over different like operating systems and whatnot, but I don't fall
No.
into the legacy trap. Don't fall into the legacy trap. Like, you know. So, but on that note, we're going to close it out and we appreciate y'all listening and patch your stuff and happy Patch Tuesday.